Block Builder.
Hey guys, Block Builder here, and welcome back to another video. I know it's been like literally 4 months. I'm amazing at uploading. Anyway, Micromasters. I guess let's just get into that. So these are version 2s of my really old Transformers called the Builder Bots, and I redid them, and they're tiny. Here they are next to a minifigure. I'll tell you their names after I do a close-up look on all of them. Here they are next to a Model T, which you can barely see. I'll just put that somewhere you can see. And then here they are next to an F1 race car. So I guess let's get into the video. So first off, we'll be taking a look at Extend. So Extend is the crane and the leader of the group. As you can see, he's this little crane, like I just said. For articulation in this mode, the crane can go up and it can go down. It's not that crazy, but I mean, he's a little tiny dude, and I just think that he's pretty sweet. This is a newer version. This is basically why I started this project on these little guys, was I did not like the last Micromaster version of Extend I had made, so I redid him, and here he is. So to transform Extend, first thing you want to do is fold these to the sides and then take these chunks and they will fold down. Next, they swing out, rotate them like so. You actually want them rotated the other way, but that's all right. Next, you're going to take this section, fold that down. This whole section will rotate around after moving that out of the way. Then come back over here, flip the top part up, swing out one of his arms, and then swing out the other. Next, come back here, and you're going to fold this up, flip it up around, and then rotate this into place. Next, you can come back up here, rotate his head around, but I can't right now because that's in the way. But before you do that, you actually want to slide that, but it doesn't matter actually, never mind. Anyway, folding his head forward like this. Next, you're going to fold the legs straight forward, and then they will rotate down, and apparently I was right the first time, but that's all right. And these will just rotate around like this. Flip this hand forward and around that way. Rotate it down. I like to rotate the cockpit. Get him in a cool pose after fiddling around with his other arm. And there we have Extend, Micromaster Extend version 2. Now I really like this guy. I think he just looks really cool. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. For his actually I should show you some size comparisons first. Minifigure. He's taller than him now because that's how Lego works. It just is. Minifigures are small. Here's next to that Model T from earlier. And this from earlier. He's about the height of all the others, so I'm just going to do either just minifigure comparisons or be done with comparisons for now because that's going to get very repetitive. Anyway. For articulation, his head is on a stud friction, so it rotates. Yeah, you can get it to go 360, it's just this arm's angled upward a little bit, but it just goes all the way around like so. This arm, also on stud friction at the shoulder, bends at the elbow here, bends here. You can actually rotate his hand a little tiny bit. It bends here too, and then it goes up and down like that. The other arm basically just has this much of the articulation, which is just the hand can go up and down, and then it bends here and rotates at the shoulder and goes out and in. He actually has an ab crunch, and he can rotate at the waist. His legs can kick forward and back. They bend at the knee, and they ankle tilt and rotate at the foot. So, that's Extend articulation. Let's move on to the next guy. Next up, we have Groundbreaker, and he is literally like exactly the same as the last version because I really liked his design. I just changed a few things, so I'm just going to transform real quick since he's pretty much exactly the same. Basically what you do is these will rotate up and fold out. These will swing to the sides. These, oh, I broke it. Put that back on. These will rotate down. I'm thinking about changing this to a different part so that it'll rotate without like being so cheaty or whatever, but it does rotate by itself anyway. And then you want to rotate this part back, swing his head forward, and fold the arms down. And there's Groundbreaker in his robot mode. He's a very simple little guy, but I really like how he turns out when he's done. And he can fall over. Anyway, standing him up. Here he is next to a minifigure. For articulation on this guy, it's the same as he was last time, as he bends at the elbow here, rotates all the way around like this. Head is on a jumper plate, so it can rotate if you move the back part out of the way. So it can rotate like that. This back part can come forward and back and break his head off. The arms go up and down. Oh my goodness, he's not this fragile, guys. His legs go backward and forward, and they can go out and in. So that's Groundbreaker. On to the next guy. Next up, here we have Treads. Treads is the little bulldozer guy that I made a while ago, and then I didn't redo him. Like I said, these are version 2s of the original ones, so that's why I've rebuilt all the guys. Anyway, here's Treads in his little bulldozer mode. Sadly, the bucket isn't like low enough to like do anything, but I mean, I got it to look okay in the stop motion at the beginning, which I think is cool. Anyway, it can move up and down, and yeah. So, for transformation of this little guy, what you do is you're going to take this whole top section, this will fold down, and then fold forward this way, like that. You want to flip up the buckets, but then before you do that, you're going to rotate his arms out, like so. Kind of like these big tread boxing gloves. What I like to do is rotate the head, because I think that looks cooler. Next, this whole section rotates around. Fold these down, rotate the buckets up, and fold them over the windows, which I think is also pretty cool. Then you split the legs, and I like to slide them out a little bit further. And there's Treads in his robot mode. I think he's pretty sweet. There he is next to a minifigure. I think he's just like a pretty cool looking little dude. And for articulation, his legs can go back, but I kind of like think of this like his hip, but it still works for articulation. This goes out and in and bends at the knee. These kind of count as his ankle tilt, which is pretty cool. His head can rotate 360, and his arms can rotate, so his head is currently rotated. So if you like turned his head this way, then you could do this, which is pretty cool. You can just kind of mess with it a bit and then get it tilted by cheating, but that's fine. His arms have an elbow joint right here, and they go up and down. So he also has a weight joint, which I just now said. Anyway, that is Treads. So on to the next guy. So next up, here we have this guy who I think's original name was like Land Shifter or something. The best name I could think of him was Trench, but Trench is apparently already a Transformer. But that's fine. For now, we're just going to call him Trench. Anyway, here's Trench in his little excavator mode. And yeah, there's a lot of guys with like big long arms. That's just like this team's theme, apparently. Anyway, here he is in his little excavator mode. The bucket goes up and down. And yeah, that's his articulation for this mode pretty much. This can actually swing side to side too. So to transform him, just going to lift this bucket straight up, fold down the fronts like this, split the legs apart. Then you can rotate the treads down for robot mode, obviously. Then you want to swing out this arm a little bit and then fold this out of the way so you can actually get it all the way out. Swing out his other arm. Next, you take this section, it'll slide forward and then rotate to the side. Then you take the front panel and it'll rotate also. So you can either leave it like this, or I like to do this instead. Next, you fold this all down and then you rotate his legs so that they're actually positioned right and fold up his foot. And this will rotate into place, or flatten into place, I should say. Then you rotate the arm flat like that, take his head, rotate it like so. Next, this arm will also fold around, and there we go. And what I like to do is actually spin this on the ball joint so that he can have poses where he's like holding up his big bucket fist, because I think that's pretty sweet. Yeah, so that's Trench in his robot mode. For articulation, he has a waist joint. He can move up and down here. Head is on another, it's literally just connected by a stud because it can rotate. These are also on stud friction, can go up and down and bend at the elbow. His hand can go side to side. This arm can rotate all the way around. It can bend here, here. This is on a ball joint, and this is on another just normal clip. He has a knee joint right here like this. So he can do that. His feet can go up and down. They can go out. His legs can go out and in, and they can rotate forward and back. And that is Trench's articulation. So, on to the next little guy. Next up, here we have Four Wheels in his little backhoe mode. By little, I mean gigantic, because, like, look at him next to a crane. I mean, this is the biggest backhoe in the world in this scale. I mean, like, it's crazy. Anyway, I think he's pretty cool. He has the same, but actually more articulation as treads, I mean. So the bucket can go up and down, and then this is like a crane arm. So it can like rotate here, can go forward and back, can bend up here at the bucket. There's a lot of articulation there. It can fall off and break. Anyway, onto robot mode. So to transform him, he has a similar transformation to treads, but it's just in the legs, and then everything else is pretty much different. So you're just gonna fold this up and turn these into legs first, because you can. Next, you want to swing the arm out of the way and rotate both of the wheels down. You can see his head's right here. Next, you just want to get this arm out of the way and just fold those like this. This will rotate down, and then rotate this around and fold this up. Then I like to split the legs like I did on treads. Rotate them up. There's his legs. Then you spin this part around and fold it backward. There's one of his arms. This part comes backward like this. Straighten it out, and there's his other arm. And here we have Four Wheels in his robot mode. If you can even see him, but my hands are covering it. There we go. So there's Four Wheels, his robot mode. As you can see, I really like the big, long crane arm aesthetic. Minifigure. Now we'll move on to articulation. He's probably the least well articulated. This arm can like spin 360 degrees and then go in and out, and then it rotates at the shoulder. Head's on a stud friction by like literally when everyone else is. Legs can go forward, same articulation in the legs as treads, so they go forward and back, and they in and out, and they bend at the knee, and they tilt at the foot. Waists are joint, and I pulled them apart because they're so small. Waist joint, like you saw, they can do this and stuff. This arm has more articulation, this arm, because it's the crane arm, but it can go forward and back. You can move this thing if you want, and it bends at the elbows, and you can like do this too. Anyway, that's Four Wheels' articulation. So let's move on to the final member of the team. Here we have Crater, formerly known as Foundation, but I turned him into a tread crane because I wanted to. Instead of being one of the tower cranes that would be like up here, it just helps out. And then he has this wrecking ball instead, because I think that's pretty cool, which you've seen in the animation, and that's like my favorite part, when he smacks down the sign. Anyway, so here he is in his little crane mode. This can move around and then rotate here and then spin around in the ball joint and go up and down. And yeah, pretty much let's just move on to transformation, I mean. Fold that out to get out of the way. Rotate these down. Split the legs out. He's literally a clone of Trench. Just rotate the treads down. Gonna go ahead and rotate the feet down like this. Fold this arm out. Fold this arm out. Not an exact clone, just like some minor differences. And you want to push this back. Rotate this. He's basically a retool, is what if he was an actual figure. Then you just want to rotate these down. Rotate this into place. And then rotate this down. Spin this around if you want to, or leave it because it doesn't really matter. And then rotate this whole arm around to get his hand on the right side. And there we go. Now in this version, in my original version, I didn't like this yellow part on the bottom or something, but I actually do, so I made that his head. So it's kind of like a mouth plate or something. Anyway, so I like to kind of like pose him like he's got this flail. I think it's pretty cool to do that. Same articulation as Trench, except for this can do a little bit more up here. And yeah, there we have Crater in his robot mode. Here's next to a minifigure. And yeah, I'm going to get them all together, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Alright, so now we've gotten the team all together, and you guys know me by now. These guys combine. just like the originals, but actually way better because I did not like the combined mode that much and it parts formed. Anyway, while I was doing that, Tread's clip, it just like broke in half. And that is just so weird to me. I've never seen this before, ever. Very, very odd. Anyway, back to the video. So, I'm going to turn them all back into their vehicle modes, and then we will merge them into construction. So, let's get into that. Well, that took a little while. Anyway, they're back in their vehicle modes now, and let's move on to combining them. So, to start off the combination, we'll be using Extend and Groundbreaker. He'll be the top and he'll be the bottom, sort of like Devastator. So, we'll start off with Groundbreaker. Fold out the buckets to the sides, come to here, and this is going to fold out to be the connector port to connect them together. Then you want to rotate this, which is why I definitely need to switch those to the rounded parts. The rounded 1x1s with the bars on the sides, whatever they're called. Anyway, just rotate that up like that, and I actually like to push it forward a little more. Kind of get everything situated. Next, fold out his arms and rotate them down and fold them into place. And these will be the hips for the legs, and they will combine right there. So we got the bottom half of the torso done. Try and stand it up, put that off to the side. Now for Extend, his is a little more complicated. Just rotate everything up. Go ahead and rotate this around for now. That'll come in play later. Pull his legs out like this. And you just want to like separate his body and then rotate these around. Then you take this tile and line it up with his head. Then you take this part and this becomes his head, which maybe some of you might have guessed because of the random miscolored piece. Anyway, it'll pop off sometime, so that's okay. I'm just gonna like put it up like this and fold it forward. Sorry if you can't see. And just kind of align everything like this. Next, you want to rotate the legs down, and these will become his shoulders. And then these rotate down like that, and then fold up like so. Next, kind of angle them out a little bit. Then you're going to rotate the cockpit forward, and these kind of like work as locks for the shoulders by sort of going into the space that they would be, just like that. There's one half done. So you want to spin around the crane arm, rotate it around. This one you kind of compress and then slide that in. And then this rotates down and forms his shoulder, which I actually really like this side. I think it's pretty cool. And kind of get his head however you want it. Situate him for a little bit. Upper torso. Combine it with the lower torso. As you can see, this guy is very anime robot-esque, and I kind of love that about him. Anyway, let's move on to the limbs. Taking him off to the side, bringing in Treads. So Treads is one of the arms. So rotate up the bucket. And what I like to do is actually leave the bucket on this one, but it has a few different modes for his hands. Rotate it down like so. Spin the entire arm sections upward, but his head is in the way. Hopefully don't break another clip. That'd be annoying. Just rotate these up like so, and I like to fold them in a little bit like that. Next, to rotate this around and fold the bucket flat. There's one arm for construction. The other arm is Treads. I mean, not Treads, four wheels. Even though in the original they were the feet, but like, who cares? This is way cooler than that one. Anyway, it's similar transformation. You just have a crane arm that will be in the way, and I just broke him a little bit. Put him back together. This guy, since he has the crane arm, I like to fold the buckets like this, and then it's like he's got a claw hand. They can also be like a normal sort of hand thing, but I like to do that. Anyway, rotate this up. Rotate the arms up like so. Then fold this crane out to the side, rotate it down, sort of flip everything up, and then this will like compress into its own little block thing on his shoulder. And you rotate this around and fold it into place. And there's the other arm. We can go ahead and combine these. They'll connect to these two ports on the bottom of the arm. There's one arm. And the other arm. There's the upper body construction. I will have to raise the camera. Anyway, now onto the legs. Sorry in advance for if I forgot how to transform these in this same video. Fold these down. Hopefully I won't though. Then you want to take his lower body right here, and this will rotate down, and then these will swing down like so. These are going to become like big toes for the combined form. Next up, swing out his arm like that, and then rotate up the body and spin it until, depending on what leg you want this to be, I want it to be this leg, so I think if you fold it in, it does go this way. So fold it like that, rotate it like that, I mean. And yeah, I did it wrong already. This will come around this way, and then you want to rotate this tile like that. This will come down, then this will rotate up, and then do this like collapsing thing. And that'll become the leg. Then what I like to do is take the cockpit, kind of angle it in, and it becomes this cool little detail in the foot, like that. Fold this in, actually fold it up like that, because that looks the coolest. Anyway, I like to rotate this to the side and just kind of, there you go. Rotate this, which is why there's a ball joint there. Fold this to the side. Boom. There is Trench in his leg mode. So now we will move on to Crater. He transforms exactly the same, but like mirrored, which is why the crane arms are on different arms. Rotate these down. Rotate this down. Rotate this down. This down. Rotating, rotating, rotating. What you could do if you wanted to is actually spin the treads forward, but it's fine. It kind of makes them more balanced if you leave them back though. And try and get everything sort of aligned the same, like so. Fold out both the arms. On this one, you want his head to be this way. Rotate this around. Rotate this around. I like to spin his head so it looks like a little cockpit instead of a head. Rotate this around and straight up. Spin this. Flip the ball to the wrecking ball to the side. Rotate this down. And then fold his arm in and up. And there's the second foot. Now we can go into the final combination process. Go ahead, get the legs in place, and stack this on top, and then find a way to make the camera taller. But before I do that, I am going to angle his feet properly. So just kind of get him situated, stand him up, put him in a cool pose, get the camera raised. I will show you the finished product soon. And finally, after posing him and extending up the camera height or whatever, here we have construction in his awesome combined form. I literally think this guy looks sweet. He just reminds me of like some big, huge anime, just Gundam robot if they were made out of construction vehicles. He's just this big, little tiny, giant guy. Here he is next to a minifigure. Here he is next to this car right here. And here he is next to the Model T also. That's for size comparisons. He's a little shorter than my like new size scaling of robots, which you'll hopefully be seeing soon. Alright, so that's his size comparisons. Now for articulation. He's a little unstable because he's made out of a bunch of little joints or whatever, but you can pick him up. Like, he won't just crash all over the floor. It's just when you start moving him. Anyway, for articulation, I'm not going to move his head, but it's on a stud friction. It's just annoying to get in there, like, especially from this far away, but his head can look up and down, and you can actually, like, turn it here if you want, like, at the face. Sort of like with rollouts, Cardfight Vanguard stuff. If you've seen his little dude, the Go-Yusha or whatever. Anyway, also his arms are also on stud friction up here, and they can go up and down and like stuff like that. They have a T-joint elbow, so they can go up and down and rotate side to side. The hands can go up and down, and then when it's the fingers over here, they can split open and then bend like that. He has an ab crunch like here, and then the upper body can move back and forth on stud friction and stuff. And he has this joint in his arm if you wanted to use that, but there's no point in it. His legs can kick forward and back. He has an up and down movement, and they can go out and in like that. They have a knee joint up here, and then like a ball jointed knee down here, which is his real knee, which can also help him tilt. But he also has a tilt joint here, and then an ankle tilt down here. The foot can also rotate, but it's a little difficult because of all the kibble and junk from the robot. He also has this, but that's also useless because it's too loose to do anything. And yeah, that is construction. If you guys want instructions, I will probably be making a video, but just going to ask anyway, so like say in the comments if you want some. I'm thinking about maybe, I'll ask you guys right now, would you guys like to see like work in progress videos, or should I just stick to trying to completely finish the builds and then uploading the video, or like show work in progress stuff? Kind of like I do when I do size comparisons, but it'd be different a little bit. But anyway, sorry I've been gone for so long, guys. I'll say this again. I'll try to upload more frequently. I'm just like really bad at that, I guess. Anyway, also, for those who have OCD and somehow noticed this, I also have noticed it. And now his foot is fixed. Truly beautiful. All right. Now the elegant falling over and fixing of a random singular transformation step, let's end this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Block Builder breaking out.